He died at the age of 86, alone in room 3327 of the New Yorker hotel. The records state the cause was coronary thrombosis, but the truth is, he likely died of a broken heart, surrounded by blueprints he couldn't build and pigeons he considered his only true friends. His life's work, a colossal tower on Long Island, meant to power the world wirelessly, for free, stood as a skeletal ruin, a rusted ghost against the sky, sold for scrap to pay off his debts. The man who envisioned the smartphone in 1926, the man who designed the electrical grid that is the lifeblood of our civilization, the man whose mind operated on a frequency few could even perceive, let alone understand, died with nothing, penniless, alone. How can a mind that illuminated the entire planet, the very architect of our modern age, die in debt, in obscurity, and in darkness? That question is not the beginning of our story, it is the ending. And to understand it, we must be willing to dismantle everything we've been taught about the nature of success. We have to throw out the rulebook that equates net worth with self-worth. Because today, we are not charting a course to financial riches on the 500 Millionaire Blueprint. Instead, we are embarking on a far more important exploration. We're delving into the lonely, agonizing, and profoundly beautiful struggle of a man who wrestled with lightning itself, not to conquer it, but to befriend it. This is the story of Nikola Tesla, but not the version you read in textbooks. This is the story of his magnificent failure and why it might be more valuable than 1,000 conventional successes. The name Tesla today is emblazoned on sleek, futuristic cars that glide silently down our streets. It's become a symbol of innovation, luxury, and forward-thinking technology. The irony is almost cruel. The man himself had nothing to do with the company, and he died without $1 to his name, while his name now represents a multi-billion-dollar enterprise. This modern association, in a way, is the final ghost in his story, a legacy celebrated, but a man forgotten. Most people know the basic outline: the genius, the visionary, the father of alternating current, the AC system that powers your screen, your lights, your entire life at this very moment. His patents form the very bedrock of modern power generation and transmission. He was a titan, a mind so far ahead of its time that it seems almost alien. His success, in terms of impact, is inarguable. It is all around us, humming in our walls, lighting our nights. But the conventional story we're told, a simple rivalry of a brilliant inventor outmaneuvered by the more business-savvy Thomas Edison, is lazy. It's a convenient, bite-sized narrative that does a profound disservice to the man and the forces he truly battled. It's a footnote. The real story, the one that contains powerful, actionable wisdom for you and for me, is far more complex. It poses a much bigger, more unsettling question. What is the true cost of a revolutionary idea, and what happens when the creator is the only one who can truly see it? The answer we're chasing today isn't found in business plans, marketing strategies, or networking events. It's found in a man's internal war, his deeply personal philosophy, the unique architecture of his mind, and a relentless, invisible force he battled his entire life. To understand his journey is to understand the very nature of creation itself. Let's bypass the linear story. Forget his birth in a Serbian village during a lightning storm. Let's travel forward in time, directly to the heart of his despair. The year is 1905. The location is Shoreham, Long Island, and the air is thick with the metallic scent of rust and failure. We are standing in the shadow of Wardencliff Tower. Imagine what this structure must have looked like to the farmers and residents of Long Island. A 187-foot tower, crowned with a 68-foot copper dome. It looked like something that had fallen from another world. At night, Tesla would run tests, and the tower would spit blue arcs of lightning into the air, illuminating the countryside for miles. It was terrifying, magical, and utterly incomprehensible. It was a piece of the future, dropped into the quiet past. This was Tesla's magnum opus, his symphony in steel and copper. It was designed to tap into the Earth's own electrical energy, turning the planet itself into a massive resonant conductor. It was meant to be the first node in a global wireless system, providing not just instant communication to any point on the globe, but limitless, free energy for every person on the planet. Think about that. An idea of pure, breathtaking abundance. An abundance mindset made manifest in steel. It was a plan to liberate humanity from the constraints of energy itself. But his chief backer, the titan of finance J.P. Morgan, had pulled the plug. Morgan had invested in a transatlantic radio transmitter to compete with Marconi. Tesla, in his genius, had built something far grander, a system for world energy. When Morgan asked the crucial question, "How can we put a meter on it?" Tesla had no good answer. You cannot meter a gift to the world. The dream collapsed. The funding dried up. The work stopped. Let's zoom in now, past the historical facts. Let's feel the crushing weight of that moment. Imagine Tesla, a tall, gaunt figure in his immaculate suit, standing before this monument to his own genius, now a public symbol of his spectacular failure. The Long Island wind is cold, whistling through the naked steel lattice. The newspapers, once fascinated by him, are now calling him a fraud, a dreamer, a charlatan. The scientific community, once his captive audience, now scoffs from a safe distance. He is utterly, profoundly alone. Not just physically alone, but intellectually and spiritually isolated. It's the unique loneliness of a man who speaks a language no one else understands. It's like an astronaut trying to describe the sublime beauty of an aurora from space to someone who has never even looked up at the stars. The real pain wasn't the financial loss. For Tesla, money was a bothersome necessity, a crude tool for a higher purpose. The deepest pain was the silence. The pain was seeing the future with absolute, high-definition clarity, a future of connection, clean energy, and human unity, and having the doors slammed shut by the brute force of the present. It was the agony of offering humanity a key to the heavens and watching them examine it, not for the door it might unlock, but for its scrap metal value. His single greatest mistake in this crisis? It wasn't a technical error. His science was sound. It was a fundamental failure of translation. He believed the sheer brilliance and benevolence of his vision would be self-evident. He presented J.P. Morgan with a symphony of planetary resonance. But Morgan only wanted to know how many instruments he could sell tickets for. Tesla was speaking poetry. The world was speaking prose. And in this moment of crisis, Tesla came face to face with his true, lifelong nemesis. It wasn't the shrewd marketer Thomas Edison. It wasn't the ruthless financier J.P. Morgan. It was an enemy far more insidious, one that every dreamer, every creator, every entrepreneur, every artist faces each and every day. His enemy was the gravity of the present. The gravity of the present is that relentless, invisible force that pulls all visionary ideas down to the level of immediate practicality, profitability, and familiarity. It is the collective immune system of the status quo, attacking anything that is too new, too different, too big. It's the chorus of, "That's not how we do things here." It's the spreadsheet that can't quantify a revolution. It's the world's deep, instinctual addiction to the familiar, the safe, the known. Tesla had learned to command lightning, a force of nature, but he could not overcome this even more powerful force of human nature. He needed to stay hard against the skepticism, but the gravitational pull of the status quo was simply too immense. So what is the takeaway from the rusting corpse of Wardencliff? What's the lesson for us? The surface-level advice is obvious. Get a better business plan. Secure your funding. Learn to sell. And yes, that advice has its place. But it's cheap. It's the kind of advice that helps you build a slightly better mousetrap, not change the world. The real lesson, the one that cuts to the bone and challenges our most romantic notions of creativity, is this. The purity of your vision is a trap. We are taught to protect our ideas, to keep them pristine in the ivory tower of our minds. But a perfect idea, locked away in a genius's consciousness, is functionally worthless to the world. Tesla's failure teaches us something profound. A vision, no matter how revolutionary, must learn to wear the clothes of the world it intends to change. It must learn to speak the language of finance, of politics, of human skepticism, not as a form of surrender or compromise of the core idea, but as a crucial survival strategy. Refusing to engage in this translation isn't a sign of noble purity, it's a form of intellectual arrogance. It's a belief that the world should adapt to your idea, rather than you helping your idea adapt to the world. And that arrogance is the fastest path to a beautiful, tragic, and ultimately powerless ruin. This isn't just a tip for career development, it's a core principle for anyone who wants to turn a thought into a thing, to make a real-world impact. True motivation must be paired with pragmatism. To understand how he could build such a pure, yet fatally vulnerable vision, we have to rewind. Let's leave the cold shores of Long Island and travel back to a park in Budapest, 1882. Tesla is a young man, not yet a legend. He is frail, recovering from a severe nervous breakdown that had left him bedridden for months, with senses so acute he claimed he could hear a fly land on a table across the room. This wasn't just a period of sickness, it was a period of intense transformation, a healing journey that recalibrated his entire nervous system. He is walking at sunset with a friend, reciting poetry from his favorite work, Goethe's Faust. As the sun dips below the horizon, a glorious blaze of orange and red fills the sky. And then it happens. It wasn't a slow realization, not a gradual piecing together of a puzzle. It was a flash. A seizure of divine intellect, a cosmic download. In a single, blinding, ecstatic moment, he saw it all. Not the idea of an alternating current motor. He saw the motor itself. In the theater of his mind, it was fully assembled and running. He could see the invisible magnetic fields, spinning in perfect harmony, a silent, powerful vortex. He could mentally reverse it. He could stop it. He could test its weaknesses. He didn't need a blueprint. He didn't need a prototype. He didn't need a workshop. The machine was born, fully formed and flawless, inside the astonishing chamber of his consciousness. This was his superpower. This was his process. His entire philosophy of creation was based on this intense, internal visualization. He didn't build and tinker. He visualized, refined, and perfected in his mind. And only then did he build the physical object, which always worked exactly as he'd imagined. He believed the universe was a library of ideas, a symphony of frequencies, and with enough discipline and focus, one could simply tune in and receive them. This required a level of study motivation and mental stamina that few could ever comprehend. It was the ultimate expression of self-development. But now for the flaw spotlight, the essential detail that makes him human, that tethers this godlike mind to the earth. This incredible mental power came at a staggering cost. Tesla was a man of jarring, almost painful contradictions. He was obsessed with cleanliness, to the point of pathology, terrified of germs. He had a strange, violent aversion to pearls on women and couldn't stand to touch human hair. He practiced celibacy his entire life, believing it was essential to preserve the clarity and power of his mental faculties. His greatest flaw was a direct extension of his greatest strength, his obsession with perfection. He could build flawless machines in his mind, but he could not tolerate the flawed, messy, compromised nature of human beings and their society. He couldn't network at a dinner party. He couldn't schmooze investors with small talk. He found the business of dealing with imperfect, emotional, irrational people to be a frustrating distraction from the perfect, logical, beautiful work of creation. His genius-level intellect was paired with a deficit in practical emotional intelligence, especially in the rooms where deals were made and fortunes were decided. His mind was a palace of perfect ideas, but he struggled to build a bridge from that palace to the messy village of humanity. So how do we, as flawed humans, living in this messy, imperfect world, harness even a fraction of that creative power? We can't all expect to have divine visions in a park at sunset, but we can adopt his method, his daily discipline, and forge it into a practical formula. Let's call it the visualization chamber. This is more than just the power of positive thinking or flimsy manifestation techniques. This is a rigorous tool for strategic thinking and deep creation. It consists of 3 distinct steps. First, the empty room. I mean this both literally and metaphorically. Find true silence. No phone, no music, no notifications, no distractions. In our world of constant manufactured noise, this is the most difficult and rebellious step. You must give your mind a clean, empty, silent space to build. This isn't about being lazy. It's about creating the necessary conditions for deep work. You have to want it. No excuses. This is the foundational discipline. Second, construct the machine. Don't just wish for your goal. Build it meticulously. If your goal is a successful business, don't just see the money in the bank. See the office layout. See the faces of your employees. See the product on the shelf. Imagine a difficult client conversation, word for word. Play it out in your mind. Feel the anxiety. Then, find the solution. If you are an athlete, don't just see yourself winning. Visualize every step, every breath, the burn in your muscles, the sound of the crowd. This isn't a vague wish for the law of attraction. This is the process of creating high-resolution SMART goals, a detailed mental blueprint that your subconscious mind can begin to execute. How bad do you want it? This detail is what separates a dream from a plan. Third, run the stress test. This is the crucial Tesla step that most people skip. Once the machine is built perfectly in your mind, you must try to break it. You must become your own worst critic. Subject your mental creation to the brutal gravity of the present. Imagine the funding gets pulled. Imagine your biggest competitor steals your idea. Imagine a key team member quits. Imagine a market crash. Run these simulations relentlessly. The goal isn't to be negative or to manifest failure. It's to forge your idea and yourself in the fires of adversity before it ever touches the real world. This is a form of stoic motivation. You are building resilience and developing contingency plans. You are transforming fragility into strength. This is the kind of deep self-development that turns a fragile dream into an unbreakable plan of action. And now, after this journey through pain and genius, we return to where we began. Room 3327 of the New Yorker Hotel. An old man, alone, his brilliance undimmed, but his resources exhausted, finding solace not in accolades, but in caring for the city's pigeons, whom he loved with a fierce tenderness. And we look again at the skeletal ruin of Wardencliff Tower on that cold Long Island shore. We started with the question, how could the man who illuminated the world die in darkness? And now, we see. We were asking the wrong question all along. The frame was wrong. Tesla's death wasn't a tragedy in the way we think. It was a testament. Wardenclyffe didn't fail because the science was wrong or because the dream was flawed. It failed because he refused to let his symphony of global harmony be turned into a cheap, profitable jingle. He lost the battle against the gravity of the present, but in doing so, he never surrendered the soul of his vision. His failure was the ultimate price he paid for a life of absolute, uncompromising purpose. He chose the purity of the idea over the profit of the application. In a world that screams at us to measure success by the numbers in our bank account, his life stands as a radical, powerful, and deeply motivational counter-narrative. He operated from an abundance mindset that valued ideas over currency, creativity over capital. And that is a legacy of wealth that can never be spent or devalued. I am incredibly grateful for the stark clarity of his example. The ultimate success, the kind that leads to a peaceful mind and a life of meaning, isn't about achieving every external goal. It's about knowing, with absolute, unshakable clarity, what your purpose-driven life is for. It's about being grateful for the beauty of the vision itself, even if the world never fully grasps it or rewards you for it. Nikola Tesla wasn't a failed businessman. He was an artist who painted with lightning, and his masterpiece was simply too vast for the small frame the world offered him. He embodied a powerful philosophy that the act of creation is its own reward, and to stay true to that creation is the highest form of success. So, I will leave you with this. What is the Wardencliff Tower in your life? What beautiful, audacious, unrealistic dream are you secretly building in the visualization chamber of your own mind? It could be a business, a book, a family, a community project, a new version of yourself. The world may not be ready for it. The gravity of the present will pull at it, and people might call you a dreamer. It will be a lonely and difficult construction. But build it anyway. Thank you for joining me on The 500 Millionaire Blueprint. If this story resonated with you, if you have a Wardencliff dream of your own, share it in the comments below. Let's build a community of people who dare to wrestle with lightning. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories that redefine what it truly means to be successful. Until next time, find your discipline, build your vision, and stay true to your own unique current.